All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into the science behind a fear that is so modern, you've probably felt it today.
You know that feeling, right? That little jolt of panic. You're patting your pockets, digging through your bag, and your heart just sinks. That split second where you think, where is my phone? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's something pretty much all of us have been through.
But here's the thing. What if that feeling isn't just you being a little forgetful or, a bit dramatic? Turns out, it's a real phenomenon. Scientists have been looking into it, and yep, it actually has a name.
And that name is nomophobia. Kind of clever, right? It's literally short for no mobile phone phobia. So, what is it exactly? Well, it's the fear of being without your phone, or more specifically, being unreachable. It's that anxiety you get when you can't text, can't call, can't just look something up on a whim. And look, this idea has been around for a while. The term itself was first used way back in 2008. Just a few years later, in 2012, a study found that a whopping 66% of people felt anxious without their phone. But things got really serious in 2015. That's when they created something called the Nomophobia Questionnaire, or NMPQ. It's basically a standardized way to measure this, and that's what leads us to the big paper we're looking at today, a huge 2021 review that pulled together 40 different studies on this very topic.
Okay, so the first thing these researchers wanted to know was, how common is this really? Is it just a few people, or is this a massive thing? Get ready for this number because it is wild. In one of the studies they looked at, 99.7%, yep, you heard that right, 99.7% of college students showed at least some level of nomophobia. That's not just common, that's practically everybody.
And we're not talking about some tiny one-off study here. Remember, this review looked at 40 different studies, all using that same official questionnaire. And they were looking at a very specific group, young adults from about 18 to 25 years old, basically the first generation to grow up with these things glued to their hands.
So, who's most at risk? Well, the research pointed to a few things. While some studies found it was more common in women, the biggest factors were pretty predictable. The more time you spend on your phone each day, and the longer you've had a smartphone in your life. And this isn't just some vague feeling either. It has real effects. Higher levels of nomophobia were linked to things like worse grades and seriously messed up sleep. Okay, so we've established it's super common, but what's the actual impact? What's it doing to our minds, psychologically? Let's dig a little deeper into that anxiety. When you get that panicked feeling, what's the real fear? What are you actually afraid is going to happen? Well, the research is pretty clear on this. It's not really about the physical phone. It's about what the phone gives us. The biggest fears boil down to three things: losing that connection to everyone, not being able to communicate right here, right now, and being cut off from all the information that's usually at our fingertips. And it goes even deeper. The review found that nomophobia is often tied to a whole bunch of other mental health challenges. We're talking strong links to anxiety, depression, stress, loneliness, even things like social phobia and obsessive-compulsive traits. It's almost like a warning sign for other kinds of psychological stress. But this isn't all in your head. That mental stress, that constant need to check your phone, it absolutely takes a toll on your body too.
First on the list is something I'm sure we've all heard of, if not felt, tech neck. It's not a surprise, right? The more time people spent hunched over their phones, the more neck pain they reported. Simple as that.
And it's not just our necks. You've also got SMS thumb. You know that soreness and strain you got from scrolling and typing all day long? But the list keeps going. The studies found a whole range of physical symptoms, things like headaches and just general fatigue, strained, watery eyes, pain in your back, shoulders, even your wrists. And of course, the big one we mentioned before, trouble sleeping. It's a huge, consistently reported problem. So you take all of this, how common it is, the mental stress, the physical pain. What did the researchers conclude? What's the final verdict here? This quote from the paper really hits hard. The authors are basically saying, hey, this isn't just a personal problem or some weird quirk. They call it an emerging public health problem that needs effective public health strategies. That's serious language. And they don't stop there. They actually use the phrase epidemic outbreak. Let that sink in. They're suggesting this is spreading like an epidemic. So this isn't just some interesting study, it's a full-on warning bell. They're telling us this needs to be a real priority for public health. And all of this really brings us to the final question, and this one is for you. After hearing all this, the numbers, the mental and physical effects, the expert warnings, it kind of makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What is your relationship with your phone?